Welcome to Suncoast Live.
You can't handle the truth.
Intelligent talk, sure to raise the IQ.
Have a question or comment? Give us a call, 941-460-1530.
And discover sights and sounds and wonders no living man has ever witnessed before.
Now, here's the host of Suncoast Live, Guy Wayman.
All right, a pleasant good afternoon to you. Hour number 2 of Suncoast Live. Glad to have you with us on what we call the Weekend Sports Wrap. And a lot of sports to be talking about in and about the country and around the world. And most importantly, we had some NFL playoff games yesterday that determined who was going into the Super Bowl. Tony Cotillo standing by in the green room, and I think he's eating probably a Philly cheesesteak with the side of something. We'll find out. Gasparilla Road and Keystone Boulevard, Rotunda West, a vehicle crash with injuries. No roadblock being reported at that location. And then I-75 northbound, mile marker 185, a hit-and-run crash. No roadblock being reported. Well, without further ado, let's just bring him right in. He's with the Heat Ratio, Philly influencer, and fantasy sports addiction, Mr. Tony Cotillo himself. How you doing, Tony?
I'm wonderful, Guy. How are you?
All right. It was suggested to me by Rich to ask you about the 76ers.
Is that true?
Yeah, yes. He said you need to ask him about the Philadelphia 76ers because there's some good things happening.
There really is. I mean, we're still trying to gel together with the Jimmy Butler trade. Obviously, that happened about 2-3 weeks ago. There's been some reports that maybe Jimmy hasn't been, a team first guy, in the past, and now all of a sudden he's challenged Brett Brown. But the one thing for the Philadelphia 76ers that everybody needs to realize is they have 3 superstars now. And they have Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and Jimmy Butler. And Brett Brown has to figure out how to make all those egos work. And right now, I'm not sure if he's doing a good job or not. Time will tell, but this year will be a huge stepping point to see if Brett Brown basically gets to keep his job in 2019.
All right, what about MLB in the Philly area? Because spring training starts in 30 days.
We're still sitting here on the Hurricane Bryce Harper watch here. I mean, the time is ticking, that the weeks are going away. We keep, you get these teaser reports out there. Maybe the I's need to be dotted right now, the T's need to be crossed. You see a lot of agents speak. Bryce Harper put some tweets out here or there. It all comes down to where Bryce wants to play. We all know that. He's for the most prestigious agent of sports, and Mr. Scott Barr. So basically the Phillies are on hostage right now by Bryce Harper and Manny Machado.
Did you have much snow? Because the boys of summer sure look attractive when it's cold and snowy outside.
Let me tell you something. We didn't get much snow, but it's a balmy 6 degrees right now outside with a wind chill of about minus 11. So it's really not feeling too good out here in Philadelphia.
It's pretty hard to get watermelons to grow in that weather.
Yeah, you got that right.
Or oranges or lemons or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, there's not many vegetables growing out here right now.
No. All right. Yesterday was some incredible day. 2 key matchups. We had an AFC game and an NFC game. Both games had their points of interest. Let's talk about the NFC game, which was the early one.
Oh, let me tell you something. Both games, both games were historical. They really were. If anybody were to say, we could take 2 championship games, both going to overtime, both have young quarterbacks, young coaches versus, veteran quarterbacks, veteran coaches. I mean, everything you wanted into an NFC and the AFC championship game was there for any football fan, any reporter, any player for that matter. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what, that NFC game, I know everybody's going to talk about the pass interference call. I know everybody's going to talk about the referees probably in both games. I get it. But if you take that away and you just watch the way that game played out, I mean, listen, this was almost like a reversal of the Eagles and the Saints game last week when the Eagles jumped out to a 14-0 lead. The Rams were on the same on that edge of the spectrum with the Saints jumping out to the 13-0 lead. And then again, a fake punt thrown, by McVay and the Los Angeles Rams, and boom, they come right back in. But, my biggest my biggest thought out of that game is what happened to Todd Gurley. I mean, you watch that game. I don't understand what's going on with Todd Gurley right now and the running game for the Rams. So
was he put in the doghouse by Sean McVay?
I don't know, and that's they say he's healthy. You see him stretching on the sideline. You see him jumping on the bike. He really hasn't made any qualms about it. But I know he missed a couple passes and he missed a couple blitz assignments. But this is a guy you paid to be the number one running back in the NFL. This is a guy you committed millions and millions of guaranteed money to. And to have him sitting on the sideline while C.J. Anderson, a journeyman who just came to your team, is handling the ball with the game on the line, I don't know, man. It puzzles me. It really does.
Let me ask you this, because this just popped in my head as we're talking right now. I didn't talk about it earlier on my show. I am wondering if Sean McVay, is this brilliant young coach, is playing this chess match, knowing full well that if he wins that game yesterday, he's got to go on. And there's a good chance I very well might face Bill Belichick. So I'm not going to show my hand with Todd Gurley. He's going to be sitting on the bench. There's not going to be that playoff footage of Todd Gurley there against the Saints. Therefore, that when I do maybe happen to play him in the Super Bowl, should I win that game, that all of a sudden now Belichick's not going to be as prepared, because Belichick will take away the strength of the other team. So there he's not going to know about the strength of Gurley, yes or no.
I'll tell you what, that's a great theory as long as it works, right?
I don't know. I just threw it out there.
No, what I'm saying, though, is as long as they win the game. I mean, that's great, and that's a good spiel for McVay, as long as the Rams win the game. But the Rams don't win the game, the questions are constantly going to be, where was Todd Gurley? Why wasn't he in the game? Mm-hmm. I mean, there was a couple plays in that game where C.J. Anderson almost fumbled the ball and mishandled the snap. So you think if that wouldn't have cost him the game, the questions after the game to McVay would have been, where's the Pro Bowl running back at? So that's the thing that is odd to me. And I thought about the same kind of theory you did a little bit. Maybe he's outsmarting himself. He's actually out-coaching himself because maybe he is that good. And, guys tend to do that. But at the end of the day, we still need more answers. And, we still need more information on why this happened. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be very interesting come Super Bowl time. Who lines up on play one in that game and who gets the bulk of those yards?
When you are the coach, you are assigned to do your job on the field. And you might go for a field goal or not go for it or fake it or whatever or punt or whatever. And you're going to have to take those hits. Whether you play a player or not, you take the hits. And that's part of coaching. And that's part of teaching. Or whatever it is. It's like, yes, I'm going to play you. No, you're going to sit down, and there's going to be a teaching moment here. And I don't know if he was in the doghouse or not. That's the only thing that can come to my mind because he was healthy. But I'm thinking these coaches have bigger agendas at mind, more than even that one game. Belichick has it. He's looking at that game he's playing right then, and he wants to win that game. However, he's thinking long-term as well because he knows he's got a couple of things in his back pocket for the Super Bowl.
No, this is true. But, I mean, if you look at it, I would care to argue that besides Jared Goff, that Todd Gurley is the most important player on that football team. And he may be the most important besides Jared Goff, before he got injured. So, I mean, that would be like Bill Belichick saying, hey, let me take Tom Brady out because I don't want to risk people game planning for Tom Brady next week. I mean, that to me, that's how big this is. So, lo and behold, it happened. It is what it is. But one thing I want to know, too, is I really would have thought in that game that he didn't go for the points. I would have went for the 4th and 2. I don't know about you, but with the game on the line right there, they did win the game. I get it, in overtime, but I think I would have went for the 4th and 2. What do you think?
Well, yes, and he kind of got there because he was the gambler. He was almost like the Sean Payton at that point where, okay, I'm going to be the gambler and I'm going to go for it. But this is a young coach, and I don't even know that we fully understand his mind of how he truly thinks there. And everybody wants to kind of mimic him and hire the next Sean McVay. We're starting to see that this guy has got some depth to his coaching.
Yeah, you're right. And let me tell you something. You talk about Sean Payton. when they had that after that Ted Ginn catch, and they decided to throw the ball with, and it's an incomplete pass. You didn't run the ball. I mean, there was a lot of decisions, a lot of quirky decisions made by Sean Payton at the end of that game as well. So, and it's the McVay factor, which you just said. Payton's looking over that sideline, and now he's trying to outsmart the other guy on the other end. A guy that he knows is up and coming and is a gambler. So what does Sean Payton do? He gambles. But unfortunately, the gamble didn't work for Sean.
Yeah, this is a giant chess match, and it's on it's not even three-dimensional. It's almost quad or, hexadimensional, if you want to even go that far. Boy, that's getting deep, isn't it? But it's not two-dimensional, just one and two teams there, but you're thinking multiple dimensionals and quad, because you're also, you're thinking about your next opponent, and it might be subliminal, but I thought it was quite interesting.
No, I completely agree. All in all, an unbelievable game. Another one that'll go down in history that I was glad I was able to watch, that I know it'll be on replay on the NFL Network. I'll watch it again and again and again. So, Jared Goff grew up in that game as well. That's one thing I have to give the young man. He really proved me wrong a little bit, and he really grew up in that game.
Are we watching, and I brought this question up last hour, are we literally watching in our lifetime the greatest coach that have ever coached this game? And I'm talking about Bill Belichick.
I'll tell you what, after watching that game, and after watching the game plan, I mean, you're 32 yards. This, as the audience listens to us right now, 32 yards. He held the number one offense in the NFL. This Patrick Mahomes, who couldn't be stopped, who couldn't be contained, with a defense of unsung heroes, practically no Pro Bowlers on that line, and you held Patrick Mahomes at 32 yards in the first half, is unbelievable. It really is. And just that effort alone puts you up on that pedestal, just to understand how Bill Belichick is. And I'll tell you what, you knew, unfortunately, whoever's going to win that toss was going to win that game. You knew Brady was going to go down the field. You knew Belichick was going to call the right plays. Everything came together, and that was historical. And I'll tell you what, both of those guys, they could be the greatest of all time. And we're watching them in front of our eyes every week. It's amazing.
Where was Andy Reid in the adjustments first half?
I'll tell you what. You're talking to a guy who has lived in the Andy Reid era, and unfortunately, the one thing that will always follow Andy Reid will be the adjustments that he never makes or he cannot make.
Really?
I hate it. It is. I mean, listen, this goes as far back the Philadelphia years when the Philadelphia, the never-ending NFC Championship games against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, against the Carolina Panthers, when we did have the top offense and we would get stuffed. I mean, it was all the time because of adjustments that Andy Reid couldn't make. It's a shame. This guy is an unbelievable – he's a Hall of Fame coach. But a game day coach, unfortunately, he is not. And he just showed, once again, his shortcomings in the NFL.
This one, I don't even know if you know the answer to, but will the Kansas City Chiefs, will they be back next year, or will some other teams start to catch up? There is word on the street that Dwayne Haskins in a mock draft will be taken by the Jacksonville Jaguars before the Giants get a chance to take him in 6.
Let me tell you something. As long as you have Patrick Mahomes, as long as you have a leader behind center like you have in Kansas City, you will indefinitely be in the playoff picture. I mean, you look at...
Yeah, but you got Baker Mayfield coming up, and look out for the Cleveland.
You absolutely do. But guess what? Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns are still putting no pieces together. I mean, you talk about Patrick Mahomes. You talk about Travis Kelce. You talk about Tyreek Hill. You talk about, even Damian Williams behind center, okay, as a running back that's coming for Hunt after the suspension. Let me just say, Andy Reid will be back. The Kansas City Chiefs will be back. But again, until he learns to make those adjustments, the result will consistently be the same.
Okay, so they're going to make another run at it, but this is the amazing thing about the NFL is that it's not the same team and you keep making the run, We saw what happened last year with the Philadelphia team is that after the season is over, even after the Super Bowl, there's a slight dismantling and reorganization and rehiring, and you literally start from scratch July 1st of every year for another season, for another 6 months until February, till the Super Bowl. And so you've got 16-game season. And, and so you're really putting together a brand new team each year.
It is. It's a year-to-year league. But here's what people need to realize about the Kansas City Chiefs. And it's funny you mentioned the Chiefs and the Browns, right? Because they both have one thing, in common.
Yes.
And that's a guy with the last name of Dorsey, right? So Dorsey created this Kansas City Chiefs team, and now he's in Cleveland trying to create the same kind of team. You drafted guys like Mahomes. You drafted guys like Tyreek Hill. You drafted guys like D. Ford. You drafted guys that were going to be the centerpiece of your organization. Young, cheap players with Pro Bowl talent. That's how you win. And that's what they're doing in Cleveland right now, too. And see, that's why I think Kansas City will continue to be good, because even though Dorsey isn't there, they're very well capable of drafting the right players to contribute year after year. D. Ford is going to be a free agent. It's going to be interesting. How much money do they want to pay this guy? They may let him go, but let me tell you something. They're probably going to draft somebody just as good. So as long as the drafts and the scouting department stay good, those teams will always be competitive.
Tony, it's always great. How can people find you?
At the Heat Ratio on Twitter, at Ticatilo on 23 on Twitter. Check out the YouTube page, The Heat Ratio, where you can catch me and Guy's segment every week, as long as some other videos that I make and the podcast that we do weekly on Wednesdays from 12 to 1. So I appreciate all the listeners and the support.
All right. Thanks, Tony. We'll catch you again next Monday.
See you, Guy. Have a good week.
Tony Cotillo. You can also find him on Twitter at Tony Cotillo, Cotillo 23.
From the flagship station in Southwest Florida, your sports anchors here.